you read me?
Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Well, it is Sunday Night Live. It is the zoo. Welcome back, everyone, one and all. Formerly the great country of the United States of America. Here we are broadcasting from behind the lines of a tyranny-controlled shithole known as, well, the United States government. Forget the Constitution, forget the common law, forget the Declaration of Independence, forget any notion you had of a Bill of Rights. They're just going to walk all over you. That's right. There's a reference to an old AC/DC tune, but I think they're all old these days. Thank you to Heidi for the El Pollo Loco shirt, a crazy chicken. Everyone knows how I love chickens. They're just my favorite, or roosters more like it. The chickens didn't bother me. It was the fucking roosters at the RMZ. Anyways, here we are. This is the show, Sunday Night Live, the zoo, where we talk about everything in the past, everything coming in the future, everything we see right in front of us. But we don't have monovision. We're able to look in all directions, even behind us, as we examine SHTF, where we're going in the future, world history, and what it is they have in mind for us. I really hope that you are ready for October 4th. That's right. They're going to launch their radio / cellular phone / cell tower signal, and they're going to activate viruses. They're going to activate drugs and nanotechnology and graphene oxide. And folks, that's what's going down. A lot of people are very worried about it. A lot of people very worried about it. I'm not particularly worried about it, but as always, I'm watching. Are you? Hey, man, is there a lot of chitter chatter out there coming all through last week into the weekend regarding October 4th? Have you seen more information on it? No, it's just the same level, or is it actually coming down now? Flatline, it's out there and it won't quit. Now, here's my deal, is I think nothing is going to happen. If I were in charge of the world, and I'm not, but if I were, you know what I would be doing? I'd be doing the opposite of what we've got people believing out there, right? If they think you're going to attack on October 4th, then I would have attacked on September 24th. Or November 14th, some other time right? Get people all wound up. And then when nothing happens, they've been discredited. If I was going to do something and they came up with a date like October 4th, I would have done it back on, well, September 4th and started the activation, started using the signal, waking people up in different parts of the country. So disease started running rampant. So it wouldn't look like it was done all at once. So it looked like it was started and spread naturally, right? You have an outbreak here and a plume there and an outbreak and an outbreak and an outbreak and an outbreak. Pretty soon you got everyone scared to death. But to pull the trigger all at once around the entire planet, blanketing it with disease and zombie-like behavior, well, that really does sound a lot like the movie Kingsman, which was a great flick from, I think, 2015. And they got a lot of stuff in there, a lot of predictive programming. And I'm really not poo-pooing it, folks. The reason I am saying, what are you going to do about it, is because what are you going to do about it? They're going to claim that they're going to bring in the emergency broadcast system. This is a test. This is only a test of the emergency broadcasting system. If this were an actual emergency, the tones you heard would be followed by local news stepping in and telling you how fucked up you're going to get. Right? That's the FEMA thing. And they said it's going to last half an hour, which means they must be doing something very, very dangerous out there. You know what I'm saying? That's the claim. And they're going to do this as a worldwide test. That's kind of like the Kingsman. When they finally hit the button and did the signal, everyone started losing their shit. Whatever was inside of them was activated and started making them nuts. Whether or not they had their own phone, whether or not their phones were on, people just went ape shit. And I found the movie actually very, very entertaining, very funny, in fact, because it was presented in a lot of ways tongue in cheek, right? But still, in today's climate and way things are looking, looks more like a documentary than an actual entertaining movie. Still, I don't allow myself to get wrapped up in stuff so much that I become fearful. And I'll tell you why. I am not fearful. It's because I am prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. See, it doesn't matter what is going to happen. You should be prepared for an emergency, whether it's a bio attack or a snowstorm, whether it's a techno attack or it's a hurricane, a flood, a tornado. It doesn't matter what it is, you should be prepared, because being prepared covers all those emergencies and contingencies, except for the most technical amongst them, like a coronal mass ejection. Not everyone has a Faraday cage that they're living in and have their whole life in. It's hard to kind of put up with that, right? But that's one that people have warned about, right? A cyber attack that takes down the banking system. Well, I mean, not everyone can afford to have a couple thousand ounces of gold laying around their house like Mr. Ooman. He's practically made out of gold. Actually, he's not. Nobody is. Nobody has wealth in precious metals so vast that they don't need to work anymore. It's not that kind of a world, right? It's just not. So what are we going to do? How are we going to approach everything? What I say is, of course, be prepared. Take this internet address right up here, the URL, the internet address, and share it with everybody. Hit the thumbs up button, share the internet address, right? And make sure you're subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. Now, coming right out the gate, what do we have? Well, we've got Danny. Oh, let me take, no, which way are we going? Let's go with this. Right out the gate, we're going to go, U.S. Marines are struggling with a shortage of camouflage uniforms. Folks, this is a 100% real story, right? The premier military fighting force, the U.S. Marine Corps, right? Them and the U.S. Army are responsible for kicking the ever-loving stuffing out of other military. They can't get camouflage uniforms. But if you are a transitioning LGBTQ person who is enlisted in the military, you can still get your free surgery. Apparently, there's plenty of that to go around. But they can't get enough uniforms so that everyone is wearing the same uniform in the Marine Corps. Why is it there's only one supplier? How does this make any sense? Well, it really doesn't make any sense, folks. It doesn't. This is a giant scam. It truly is. This is Biden. This is the Democrats. This is what they do. This is what they do. All right. Good golly. Well, it is Sunday Night Live. And what that means is hit that super chat button right up there. Bam, bam, bam. If you've got a question, comment, a thought, we're going to talk about what you want to talk about. Monday through Friday, it's my Zero Dark 30. In the afternoon, I do my 30-minute monologue followed by your questions. But on Sunday, you guys get to direct the show the way it goes, well, as much as you dare. So let's do this. I would like to start off with Chin Music. And he's got a $55.56 super chat donation. That's $55.56. I tell you what, I need to get warmed up here. So any donation, over $50, pow. Well, it buys me a scotch, an 18-year Glenlivet. And that kind of helps me relax. Loosens the old mandible so I can talk a little easier, a little smoother. Oh, thank you, Chin Music. It's like mother's milk. Thank you so much, sir. Now, as Mr. Chin Music got his question up, his thoughts, there it is. There is Mr. Chin Music. He says, hey, in the beginning of a change, a patriot is a scarce man, hates, loathed, and scorned. The beginning of change, a patriot is a scarce man, hated, loathed, and scorned. But once his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. That was a quote from the great Mark Twain. Mark Twain was the pen name of Samuel Clemens. So what is Chin Music saying? He says, a man who has nothing is willing to fight for, nothing he cares about more than his personal safety, is a miserable creature, has no chance of being free, unless being made so or kept so by the exertions of men better than himself. And that was John Stuart Mill. I never want either said about me, is what Chin Music said. Let's go back to the beginning, if we shall, of his comments and go over them. In the beginning of a change, a patriot is a scarce man, hated, loathed, and scorned. The timid will join him. Chin Music doesn't want to be timid. I don't mind being hated, loathed, and scorned, because that's what this world offers anyone who wants to be a free individual. So I wear it as a badge of honor to be scorned by these idiots out here. Let's move on to page 2 again, if we may. Mr. Uman, Chin's next. He says, a man who has nothing he is willing to fight for, nothing he cares about more than his personal safety, is a miserable creature who has no chance of being free. I don't want to be a miserable creature who has no chance of being free. Right? I have everything to live for by being a patriot. Now, if you're going to make me a slave, then there is nothing to live for. And that's what they want us to be, folks, is willing to live for no guarantee other than a life. And even that isn't guaranteed. The only thing they guarantee you is misery and servitude. Yeah, I don't want either said about me, that I am unwilling and timid and unpatriotic. Who the hell wants that? No one will remember you if that's what you are and that's what you're about. I can tell you that much. No one remembers the timid. Hell, even Benedict Arnold, the greatest traitor that, well, Americans ever talk about. At least he wasn't timid, and he's remembered. Well, he's remembered for some bad reasons. But we've got a lot of that, don't we? The greatest amongst us, as well as the most vile, are remembered for what they do. Right? And since you and I aren't vile, we're not traitors, then we have one thing that we can fight and live for. And I pray that my sons and my family remember who I am and what I did for what we are doing right now. And that is standing up to tyranny. Thank you for that great drink. I can feel it coming to work right now, warming the insides and loosening up the mind. Thank you, Mr. Chin Music. All right. Again, this is Sunday Night Live. There's a super chat button right there. You guys push that. Throw your questions down in the comments there. And Jolene and Uman will wrap them up and put them back on the screen right here for me to read. I'm going to make you famous, show you, right? Show the world what you have to say. Who do we want to go next? Who is first? Jolene. Jolene. Who has the first soup? Oh, we got, what the heck is that? Holy cow. Okay, my mistake. Thank you, Jolene. All right. We're holding on. We've got a couple in the email section we're getting the answers to. That's how this goes. So let's back up and go with, well, patriots and traitors. Patriots and traitors, playing off of Mr. Chin Music's donation. They're now calling it Nazigate up in Canada. And folks, they actually brought on a former SS Nazi warrior, Yaroslav Hunka. He's the 98-year-old guy that that the Prime Minister of Canada brought out in front of Zelensky, the world, and Canadian Parliament to honor this guy. And he brought along his pictures from World War II, thinking he was a hero. It turns out, well, no, dude, you're a Nazi. He was fighting with the SS in a Ukraine Nazi military unit. Anyways, this is incredible. The entire family of Yaroslav Hunka is now in hiding. I don't think they knew or understood what this guy did, but the Prime Minister of Canada honored him, right, with a standing ovation. Baby Castro, Justin Turdhole. And now everyone knows who they are, the entire Hunka family, and they're in hiding out of fear. Now, here's what I can't understand for the life of me. Is they're worried about a Nazi from 1940 to 1945 who hasn't committed a war crime in, let's see, 50, 55, 65, 75, about 75 years. They're worried about crimes that were committed 75 years ago, but they're not worried about crimes that were committed about 75 minutes ago. They're worried about someone who fought under Germany trying to stop communism. But they're not worried about people who are fighting right now as Nazis against a non-communist country, Russia. Isn't that incredible? I find it absolutely incredible, the ignorance, the hilarity of it all. The fact that that's how stupid these people are, that they wouldn't even check on this guy's history and find out who he was before they decide to invite him to Congress or Parliament and give him a standing ovation. Right? It's just incredible. Democrat, liberal, socialist folks do support Nazis. They do. Because that's what Ukraine literally has, is Nazis. But they're calling this Nazigate. One old timer, and when I say old timer, he's almost at the century mark. But they're going after the poor dumb son of a bitch. And at the time, let me ask you this question. At the time, the world only saw communists as the bad guys. At the time, people would have to do what they were told to do or they would be killed. And so facing the communists on that side, facing the Nazis that were at his door. Hey, Yaroslav, you're going to join the Ukrainian military under the Nazis. You feel like dying today, or are you going to come out and join us? That's what they were given as an opportunity, folks. I'm not trying to excuse away what was done, but I'm just pointing out the obvious predicament they found themselves in 75, 80 years ago. So, okay, 80 years ago is when he would have probably been enlisted. So I'm looking at this guy going, okay, did he ever suspect that he would actually be asked to do anything violent and nasty? Well, he may or may not have, but I'm sure he ended up getting asked to do something very nasty for the Nazis. And the unit he was in killed thousands of people, men, women, and children. Do you think he ever expected to survive the war? Probably not. He probably expected at any point he was going to be shot or bombed. Do you think Yaroslav Hunka, when he escaped to America with the help of the government, ever believed that he was going to get in trouble for it? No. Canada, the United States of America, those governments were bringing Nazis over by the thousands. Literally, folks. And this is not, I'm not talking about today's Democrat-led Joe Biden idiot government. We're talking about, that's right, FDR/Truman. Well, they were Democrats, folks. those presidents, though that administration, and over the next few years, under the and then the Eisenhower administration, were bringing over Nazis in what was called Operation Paperclip. War criminal Nazis like Werner von Braun, who ended up leading the American space program. That's right, folks. An SS Nazi officer whose missiles resulted in being used to bomb London. That's right, the Nazi buzz bombs. Their V1 and V2 rockets bombed the ever-loving stuffing out of London. But he became a great American hero. But we're going to go after Yaroslav Hunka. And people are threatening his family. They've gone into hiding. And here we are. We're worried about this guy. Yeah, he was brought over here, allowed to come over here by these governments. And now, did he ever think that 80, 75 years later, he would be attacked like this? No, he's probably lived his whole life going, well, you know, shit happens in a war. But I want to refer back to now Chin Music's comments, his super chat. I want to bring that back up. He's talking about being patriotic. He's talking about making a difference. You know, how do you want to be remembered, as timid or not? Right? If you were, someone put a gun to your face and said, you're going to join the military and do as you're told, would you do it? Or would you be a less than timid soul and stand for what's right? Right? Here it is. A man who nothing he cares about more than his own personal safety is a miserable creature who has no chance of being free. Well, that was a great quote, but it sounds like Yaroslav Hunka, who cared about his personal safety and probably had his family's safety threatened as well. How about that? What if you get that knock on your door from Biden's military? Hey, you're going to fight for us and go take on those rascally patriotic Republicans. And if you don't do that, we're going to arrest you and kill your family. What would you do? What action would you take? Well, what I can tell you about the men who took on Hitler, and I'm not talking about the French, I'm not talking about the English, not talking about the American heroes. I'm talking about the German heroes now. The German Nazi heroes. Yeah, there were Nazi heroes, folks. And now you're probably thinking, John, what the fuck are you talking about? What was in that bottle of Glenlivet you took? Did Ooman send you a bad bottle or what? No, folks, there were heroes that were in the Nazi Party. And the ones I'm going to refer to are the ones who were part of Operation Valkyrie, which was an assassination attempt on Hitler. They were Nazis. They were officers, and they attempted to blow Hitler to pieces. Right? Okay. Thank you, Jolene. They were Nazis and they were heroes. And they were fighting for what was right, and they weren't timid. And before they decided to take their action, they did everything they could to make their families safe. They made their families safe. Told their families to get to safety. I think it was Colonel Stauffenberger was the one, the guy with the eye patch. Right, he's the one that carried the bomb into Hitler's meeting and tried blowing him up. You know, he sent his family on, and they made it to America. Are they being called Nazis? I don't know. We got a crazy, crazy, crazy world that we're living in, folks. Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? What's it mean to be a patriot? What's it mean to be a fighter? What's it mean to be a quitter? Who's going to win? Well, tell you what, the more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to face the questions that are out in front of us. Things get rough. We get some Mad Max action going. Are you going to be able to stand for what's right? Or are you going to be a confused person, a scared person, someone who's timid? All right. Just some questions, because things are going to get stupid, folks. I'm hearing it from economists. I'm hearing it from sociologists. I'm hearing it from, get this, psychologists. There's a huge worry about the mental health and stability of America. The schools are a mess. The military is a mess. Politics are a mess. The courts are a mess. They're all fucked up. How are you? Are you prepared? Do you understand what's going on? Will you be able to help your family? I like to ask these questions so that you can ask yourself. I ask myself all the time. I look in the mirror and I go, oh boy, man, things are looking funky. Are you prepared, John? Right? And I answer the question, well, I'm about as prepared as I'm ever going to get. All right, let's move on. We got another super chat donation from Darcy T. And she checks in with a $50 super chat. Pow! Joining Chin Music's $55.56. Right, so Darcy's pouring another Glenlivet 18. And I wonder, now that we've had some great quotes from Chin Music, if Mr. Skylight's got any great quotes to share. Anyways, Darcy T, here's to you, here's to everyone, here's to patriotism, America, freedom, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and everything we know to be true and spiritually accurate, right? Right? The golden rule. That's what I'm talking about. Right? Do unto others you have them do unto you. And sometimes I actually say this, and I don't know if this is right or not, but it seems to make sense. Do unto others as they would have done unto you had they had the chance and got the drop on me. Semper Fi. Oh, yeah. Woo! Just like mother's milk. So Darcy T has this to say. Good evening, John. Just saw on the news an item in the Epoch Times where a study linked the Jim Jones juice with increased mortality. That means death increases, especially amongst the elderly worldwide. I don't recall seeing any of the big news outlets covering it. Big surprise. And here's the thing, Darcy, we're not going to see the mainstream media touch this with a 10-foot pole. They're not going to touch it. They're not going to dare. They will not, folks. They're going to stay away from it. They need to have this, folks. My concern is not over a worldwide event where they pull the trigger, flip the switch, and activate whatever program, whatever mission, whatever event they want planned. It's my opinion that they're going to hit certain areas. See, what they want to do is they want to cause chaos, but they don't want to take the blame for it. You see, if they did a FEMA half-hour broadcast, and by the end of the half hour, people were laying on the ground foaming at the mouth or running around like psychotic screwballs, we're going to know who to blame. We're going to be like, okay, they said they were going to do this. They did their broadcast and people started keeling over left and right. Now I don't trust the government absolutely 100% with any other decision. I'm not paying any more taxes. The world is now fucked and I blame them. If I catch any of them, I'm going to put them to the question. They don't want that. The super rich, the super wealthy, they want to be able to have time to go hide in their hidey holes. The very powerful in government will want to go to their bunkers and hide. Be safe. Like I said, it would be too obvious if the whole world was affected all at once. So they'll have hotspots. Let's just say San Francisco, Seattle, and Denver. And then 3 days later, you get some more hotspots develop because they turn the signal on and say Pittsburgh, Atlanta, right? And pick another one. Kansas City, Chicago, Dallas, right? So you do 2 here, then 3 there, and then another 6 over here. Pretty soon you got what looks like a naturally occurring disaster. You've got, well, last time they picked on Italy and then, France, but why not pick on Poland? Why not pick on Eastern Europe first? And hell, then they could just blame it all on the Russians and say the Russians released it. We've got some big, big problems, folks, but they're not going to let us blame them. The government is always going to deny, and I've got a couple of stories on that I'm going to share with you. They don't want to take any of the blame, folks. They want to blame us. They want to blame us. All right, it is Sunday Night Live. That means you hit that super chat button right there, make a donation, get your question on the screen, and I'm going to hit this one, folks. I'm going to talk about how they want to blame us. I just covered Justin Turd Hole and his F up by honoring a Nazi, and now he's embarrassed. The Speaker of the Parliament up there in Canada resigned his authority. Well, Justin Trudeau doesn't want to take any more blame. He doesn't want to look any more like an idiot, which I find hard to believe that he can escape. So he has come out and now he's on the attack again, blaming the people. He wants to regulate podcasts. Yes, he does. He wants to regulate podcasts so people can't talk about him and his government. And he wants this regulatory body to analyze and track the content of podcasts and find out who the subscribers are. That's right. That's right. That's how they are, folks, right? Free speech is on the ropes. We're fighting for our lives through free speech, and eventually we'll be fighting for our lives through the Second Amendment. But for now, it's a free speech battle. And Justin Trudeau is now going after free speech. After being made to look like a fool, the fool that he made himself to be, he wants to blame others and regulate podcasts. So Toronto Sun, that's a newspaper, one of their reporters, Brian Lilly, says this, quote, the CRTC now wants to regulate podcasts. Here's my simple message to them. Go to hell. Very fascinating that a member of the media would say that to the government. I think the media is discovering that they are dispensable, that unless they kiss the ass of the government and carry every lie as far as the government demands, they'll find themselves out of work, on the streets, etc. So you may as well fight now. You may as well be a patriot now, because all you're going to be is a loser later. And Dr. Jordan Peterson, noted philosopher and, shall we say this, editorializer, commentator, but he was a professor, folks. He is actually aware of the dangers we're in. And this was his response to, this was his response. This was his response to the Supreme Leader of Canada. He says, not a fucking chance, you sensorial scum rat. Can you believe that he called him that? That's right. Now, Peterson, folks, was once a lauded philosopher, and now he's reduced to using F-bombs. F-bombs. Interesting. Interesting. So, I mean, at one point, Jordan Peterson said something that really offended the shit out of me. What he said was, well, if you're having trouble with someone in your life, maybe you're not trying hard enough to please them. So, okay, Peterson, maybe you're not trying hard enough to please baby Castro. Maybe you're not trying hard enough. Well, I think that he's learned his lesson, folks, and I'm glad he has. You cannot please a tyrant. You cannot behave well enough, because they'll always demand more and shut you down more. So yeah, Peterson, once lauded, is using F-bombs. I guess he's sunk down to my level, right? The level of everyday people like me and you, that are damaged or destroyed by the mainstream elites, told to shut up, right? Well, there's no safe place anymore, folks. For social media critics, you know, they're out there, they're after us. Our supporters, you, me, we're all in the crosshairs of the tyrants. So get ready. It's only going to get worse. This is what happens when you babysit a kitty cat. They start meowing. How about that? All right. Let's do this. Let us move on if we shall. We've got a lot of stuff to cover here. It's Sunday Night Live. This is your show, your channel, your chance to put your thoughts up here. Now, there's a really big bit of news that just happened over the weekend. And it has to do with our Congress, the United States Congress in Washington, D.C., the House of Representatives. Right. I don't know if you've kept up with this, but Matt Gaetz forced the hand of McShitstain McCarthy. He forced him into doing the the impeachment inquiry. Remember that? McCarthy wouldn't do it. Finally, Matt Gaetz said, hey, look, you either do that or you're out of here. And he did that. And he has just been dragging his feet on everything. I'm talking about McCarthy. So Matt Gaetz has now said he's going to file a motion this week to vacate, right, the speaker. Basically, it's a vote of no confidence. It's a call to remove Kevin McCarthy as the speaker. And they'll have to hold a vote to see if he's worthy to stay in. So what is going on with Matt Gaetz? Right? Why is he doing this? Well, it's because Kevin do-nothing McCarthy has sat on his hands over all kinds of shit. All kinds of shit. And the impeachment is the big one. And then McCarthy decided on top of that, right? He finally got pushed into the impeachment. And then he wouldn't stand on his own feet and act like a man, right? We got Biden on the ropes with impeachment. And McCarthy goes behind everyone's back, Republicans. And he signs a deal giving millions and billions away to Ukraine. And he caves and gives in to what Biden wants. And so Gaetz is like, that's it. You cut a secret deal with Biden again, you're done. So the House Rhino Republicans, folks, reportedly want to expel Matt Gaetz. And basically they have some findings from an ethics committee investigation. And what they're saying is, quote, we want him out. Now, I'm going to say this. When the Rhino GOP wants you out of Congress, you must be doing something correctly. Now, what has he done correctly? What has Gaetz done? Well, he forced McShitstain McCarthy to open the impeachment inquiry. And he's telling the world through his actions to force McCarthy to do his damn job. Right? What is he doing? He's like, McCarthy, you gave in to Joe Biden. You gave up. Right? So he's challenging him. He's challenging the authority of establishment Republicans in Washington, D.C. The people who have the majority power, folks, who are screwing us over. That's right. If we're getting screwed over by a Republican House of Representatives, they have the authority. They should be able to stop. They should be able to save us, right? They should be able to do good things. Right. There's a few fighters in Congress. Folks, I think we should be calling them, texting them, carrier pigeons, messaging them in every way, supporting Matt Gaetz and the fight for our country. It's not a game anymore. It's not just some politics. It's not trying to lower my taxes to make my life more comfortable. This is a fight for freedom and liberty, literally. We're worried about, them turning some kind of technological bomb loose, where they're going to hit us with central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and controlling our actions, our travel, our lives, our quality of life. We're looking at them, feeding us bugs and telling us we'll be happy with less. You won't own anything and you'll like it. That's what we're actually fighting against. So this whole thing of, I don't trust them in Washington. Of course I don't trust them. But if we can cause them to fight and screw them up, you bet it's worth it. So I'll support Gaetz. And then what do other fighters, what are they saying? Florida, another Floridian, Representative Paulina Luna, right? She's a Republican. She said, quote, "To be clear, it is unethical to threaten to expel a member for the following and using House rules that the entire conference agreed to." What's she talking about? That Matt Gaetz is playing by the rules, that McCarthy agreed to the rules, the entire Republican conference agreed to the rules that he's playing by, and they're threatening to expel him now because they don't like him. So Representative Luna continues, "This game works both ways, just FYI, to any member who thinks they can blackmail a legislator into not legislating, into not doing his job. They are literally, folks, right now at war in Washington, D.C. Now, if you and I had positions of power and authority and we had our way, we would walk across the aisle and bitch slap anyone who got in our way. Or we'd stay on our side of the aisle and bitch slap anyone who was being stupid on supposedly our side. But the fact of the matter is we don't have any authority and we're not allowed to bitch slap people. Well, in Washington, D.C., they're really not allowed to either. So they play games with each other and threaten each other using legal niceties and trying to say things like, "My friends on the other side of the aisle." They're not your fucking friends. They're your enemy. Right? So Luna is either a loony bird or she sees what is happening and is reporting to us. So I want to ask you, who do you believe? Do you believe the Washington, D.C. establishment is just fine, business as usual, no problem, nothing to worry about? Right? Who do you believe? The establishment sell out rhinos? Or do you believe that there's just a few Republicans who are sticking their necks out like patriots? They are not timid and they're demanding justice and accountability. And they're exposing, by doing these things, the Bidens, the DC bureaucracy, which is the FBI, the IRS, the Attorney General's office, the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, ATF, et cetera, et cetera. Right? I know whose side I stand on. I stand on the side of freedom, liberty, and keeping what's mine and keeping my country together. But they're not fighting for that, folks. Most of DC is fighting against that. That's why we say shit has hit the fan. That's why we're looking at what's happening and we're suspicious. I'm suspicious of these people. I'm not paranoid. Paranoia is based on a belief system, not grounded in fact. The fact of the matter is they've told us they want to bring this country down. They've told us that. So it is not conspiracy theory. It's fact. All right, let's switch gears. Let's see what you want to talk about. Jolene, who wants to do a super chat? It is Chin Music with a $9.99 super chat. He says, "Little Justy apologizes twice, but never for himself. He lays it all on the parliament and beta leadership at its finest." What Chin Music is saying is Little Justy, that's Justin, Little Castro, Turd Hole, he has now apologized twice. I'm sorry that the Speaker of Parliament did that. Right? He's not accepting responsibility. He, the Prime Minister of the country of Canada, should have had at least one staff member look into who this guy was, to research what information there was. It's called vetting, checking out, double checking, right? When you hire somebody, you're supposed to do a background check. You're going to use this guy as a huge international political prop, and nobody thought to check on who he was, other than the fact that he claimed to be a Ukrainian military guy from World War II. No one knew what happened in Ukraine in World War II, whose side they fought on. Nobody thought to check the information this guy provided, pictures. Unbelievable. And so what Chin Music is pointing out here is that little Justin, little Justy, right? Baby Castro. And by the way, look at Fidel Castro when he was young, when he didn't have a beard, and then look at a picture of Justin Turd Hole. And tell me there is not a strong resemblance. Anyways, Chin Music calls him beta leadership. Now, an alpha male is a strong male who leads, who stands up, who goes out in front, who uses his brain or her brain, because there's alpha chicks out there. Look out, they're there, right? They want to be in charge. They want to lead the way. They're patriots. They're hard chargers, etc. That's what a leader is. A beta is a follower. They'll sit back and go, what way do I go? And they'll find an alpha and go, that person's got some good stuff. I'm going to follow them. Well, little Justy is a beta. You bet. Nancy Pelosi is an alpha in her own fish tank, but a beta on the world level. She does as she's told. Hillary Clinton in her world, her little fishbowl, is an alpha bitch. But on the world stage, she's a beta, a follower. Justin Turdhole, Emmanuel Macron, they're all betas. They follow orders. That's the problem we have, folks, is they're not nationalists. These leaders are not worried about their nations. They're not worried about their country. They're not worried about their people. They're worried about following their orders. And that's all little Justy has done. He's following orders. He's apologizing for everyone else. He won't accept responsibility. Now, an alpha will accept responsibility. They know whose fault it is because they're in charge. So when you mess up, you accept responsibility. He should have come right up and said, look, I should have checked this guy. He shouldn't have said, my guys, my people in charge didn't check. He should stand up and say, I didn't check on this guy. He's the one with the authority. He can tell people what to do, and he didn't do it. But he should stand up and say, I made a mistake, right? That won't happen again. Buck stops here type speech would have gone miles to show people that he's a leader. Instead, he apologizes like a beta loser, but then blames everyone else. What do you think is going to happen, folks, if on October 4th, the flag goes up, the signal sent, people are dying, whether it's October 4th, folks, or November 4th, it doesn't matter. Do you think betas like Biden or Justin Trudeau or Emmanuel Macron or the leader of Poland, do you think they're going to stand up and act like leaders? Or do you think they're going to blame others? Well, we didn't have this in mind. We didn't plan on this, right? They're not going to accept responsibility. They're going to say, hey, man, I was just there. It's not my fault. That's who these people are, folks. They're not leaders. They're not. All right. Let's have some more fun. Let's have some more fun. Let's get it on. Jolene, who wants to step up? Mr. Who-Man, who's here? Oh, my goodness. It is Bonnie Blue 2A with a $99.99 super chat donation. And wouldn't you know it, Bonnie Blue, we got a Glenlivet 18 right here. And I will definitely pour that bad dog. Whoops, a little too much. That bottle's getting a little thin. I know where today's donations are going. Anyways, Bonnie Blue, Semper Fi to you. Peace be unto all, but never ever give up on your patriotism. Semper Fi, Prost, Salut, and Shalom. Whoa, good stuff. Now, Bonnie Blue has a great message for us, for me, for you, for us all. Keep prepping, but don't forget to live your life to the fullest. Protect the valuable people in your immediate circles. They matter. Rome is going to burn, and we can do nothing about its corruption. This is a great quote, folks, and I want to put all the pieces together for you. Keep prepping. You bet. Always be prepared. Folks, before Biden, before the millennium, before 9/11, before Nixon and Watergate, before Vietnam, before World War I, before the Civil War, all through history, people have been preppers. They have been patriots. They've been concerned about their country at every step along the way. Always be that person. because the emergency may be intentional or it could be nature. So we must always be prepared. It's what people have always done. It is the advent of the modern, shall we say, gravy train, food, automobile transportation jobs, etc. The people have said, "No, it's cool, man. They got grocery stores. I don't need to have food stocked up for months at a time. That's what the grocery store is for. Let them do it." And so they have put the responsibility for their needs on the grocery store. And they said, "I don't need a gun. I don't need to know how to shoot a gun. I don't need a self-defense plan. That's what the police are for." And they put that personal responsibility on the police. And then they also say, "Look, I vote. I don't have to worry about what's going on. Once I vote, I'm done. I put my person in there, hopefully, and they'll do a good job." Or they'll say, "Hell, I don't even need to vote. There's so many good people around me. I'll let them worry about it. It's someone else's problem." And then things go crappy and they're like, "Well, shit, how did I mess that one up?" Well, it's because they quit prepping, they quit patrioting, right? But Bonnie also says this: "Don't forget to live your life to the fullest." And I've been doing that as much as I can, Bonnie. I've been taking your advice. On Saturday or Saturdays and part of Sundays, I've been going out and I do my aquatic adventures and try and have fun, enjoy life, relax as best I can. I do things on the cheap. People send me invites, right? People sponsor what it is we do, and that's great. But yeah, aquatic adventures, since I'm down here in the South, is fun. But I want to live my life to the fullest, but I've always got that part of my mind on what's going on. People say, "How can you enjoy life if you're always looking over your shoulder?" Really? Right? You should always be looking over your shoulder. Once again, this idea that everyone else is going to take care of the world's problems for you, whether you're dealing with a mugger who clunks you on the back of the head because you weren't looking over your shoulder, right? Or you've been sideswiped at your job by someone, wanting to cancel your ass like a stamp because they're a bunch of woke fruitcakes. You weren't paying attention to that. You weren't paying attention to your government. You weren't paying attention to what's going on in the world. People get caught off guard all the time. People that don't get caught off guard, they're still enjoying life. They're just watching what the hell's going on. Live your life to the fullest, but be prepared. Now, Bonnie Blue also has something that is very important to people who are patriotic, who love their country and love their family. She says, protect the valuable people in your immediate circles. That's the 10-mile radius around you. That's your family, right? Your immediate circles. Protect them because they're going to be the ones who are helping protect you, right? People at your work, your friends, people in your family. You should have good people around you, and you should get rid of those who aren't good. But there is that saying, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. And definitely keep an eye on them as well. But protect the valuable people in your immediate circle, says Bonnie. Not just all the people, but the valuable people. So again, right, you keep everyone close, but you protect those who are valuable. And you get to decide what makes them of value. And I'm not going to give you all the answers or any. You have to come up with the answers for yourself. We just have some things to talk about. But Bonnie Blue says they matter, and I agree with her. And then she talks about Rome, which is at the time that Rome, the Roman Empire, was going, basically the known civilized world was there. Now, China was also its own civilization, its own empire, and it had its own dynasties, but they weren't part of the rest of the world, which was the European world. But Rome controlled the world, the Mediterranean. You had the Eastern empires, the Orient. Right? You had the European empires around the Mediterranean. Then you had the African empires that were on the North African coast around the Mediterranean. That was the world. And Bonnie Blue says Rome is going to burn and we can do nothing about its corruption. That is absolutely correct. And thank you again, Bonnie Blue, for sharing that. There is absolutely nothing we can do about the corruption. What I want to do is keep Washington, D.C. busy fighting itself rather than planning and doing things to us. I would rather have the fight in the modern Roman capital of Washington, D.C., than spreading across the rest of America and poisoning it. Rome is going to burn. It is burning now, folks. It is on fire. It is horribly, horribly wrong and bad. I want to keep the flames of destruction in DC as they fight. But it is a little different world than Rome was. Right? The corruption is there. What we can do, though, we can't stop it, but we can help others realize what's going on. And that's why I say, share that internet address right up there and hit the thumbs up button right now. Thumbs up this video so the algorithms inside YouTube are forced to recommend this video to others to help them wake up. Help them wake up. Thank you, Bonnie Blue, very much for that great donation and that great wisdom in there. The great wisdom in there. Now, we have our hands full. We really do. Now, right now, we have jobs, we have money, we have food, we have electricity, right? We have our bunkers. Here I am in Studio Q, and that one was for Uman. We got Studio Q here, right? We got a lot to talk about, but the lights are on, refrigerators are going, things are stocked. You've got cold beverages, I hope. We're all ready to go, but shit can get nasty quick. It really can. So we need to be prepared. Okay, Jolene, we got another super chat donation out there. Let's see who wants to step on up. And it is Bart Fine with a $2 super chat donation. And he says, hey, Owen Schroyer has until October 24th to report to prison. That's amazing. What did Owen Schroyer have anything to do with? Well, he's responsible for some of the damage that was done on January 6th. He's partially responsible for the violence that ensued. Isn't that amazing? Do you understand the importance now of a trial by a jury of our peers? Oh, I certainly understand it. I do. See, Owen Schroyer is found guilty of doing something by a court of numbskulls, a court of puppets. When the court can call on a pool of people that have no concern about law. In fact, they know nothing about the law. What they know is agenda. And they are merely puppets of the courts, especially in Washington, D.C. Juries are now told they'll do as they're told. They're not told how powerful they are. They're not told that they can decide both the law and the facts of a case. So they found Owen Schroyer guilty of something. And now he has to report to prison. What about all the cops? The Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police cops. They were the ones who started the violence. What about all the agents provocateur that were there? Either FBI or another department or bureaucracy, as well as their paid stooges who showed up. What about all the Antifa that showed up? Took off their jack-in-the-box black-clad crap and came out of the bushes dressed like, well, regular, good old-fashioned American white folk, right? Yeah, that's what we got, folks. We have just a complete shit show in Washington, D.C. Owen Schroyer. Fortunately, he's not going to spend years in prison. But here, let me ask you this question. Should he report to prison? Or should he become an outlaw, a fugitive of the law? You see, he's really not an outlaw. He's more like an in-law. The outlaws are the ones with black robes and gavels. The outlaws are the district attorneys and the prosecuting attorneys. The outlaws are now the jury because they are lawless. They are without the law, and therefore they are the outlaws. But still, let's just use the term outlaw for Owen Schroyer. Who would you rather read in a newspaper? Jim Acosta Or would you rather get a bootleg, black market released Owen Schroyer article? Who do you think is going to be closer to the truth? What do you think is going to be more of the voice of freedom and liberty? How many of the founding fathers prior to the Declaration of Independence were outlaws? Quite a few of them, no doubt. Refused to turn themselves in, refused to serve prison time. They absolutely refused to bend the knee, and they chose, folks, being patriots and outlaws over being sellouts and kiss asses. That's the next phase that I think we go into. I'm sure Owen Schroyer is going to turn himself in. I'm sure he is. But imagine this. Owen Schroyer shows up at jail for what, 90 days, 60 days? I can't remember what it was that he supposedly has been sentenced to for his participation, his role of free speech. That's right. He used some free speech, and now he's getting blamed for what's going on. He could show up at jail and he could be assaulted and murdered, assaulted and crippled. He could have to fight for his life and end up either harming or killing someone else in doing so, and then be charged with murder. He could be framed while in jail. They could put drugs on him. All manner of bad and evil things can happen to Owen Schroyer if he goes to jail. Cerveza sneeze. It's kind of like me saying, look, if I'm asked to go downtown, I don't think so. I have done nothing wrong. I am not a criminal. I don't know of any criminal activity that's not part of the mainstream media pointing to DC. That's about the only criminal activity I know is what's in the White House and Congress and all the bureaucrats. They don't need me to testify, so there's no reason for me to go downtown, right? There's no reason for me to go with any law enforcement institution, because I'm sure they would find some way with me or you or anyone else to just give you some false charges. I'm a nobody, right? We're nobodies in the big scheme of things, right? We can't change anything, right, Bonnie Blue? We're nobodies. But they can certainly take us out before we become somebody. See, they're going to want to stop this country from fighting for its own freedom. And the country doesn't do that. People do that. So they're going to take out leadership before it can actually blossom into leadership. Before there's a full-fledged restoration of our republic, they would rather burn it to the ground, pull the plug on the electrical system, the monetary system, and just screw this country over. That's what I really see going on with this corrupt system. I mean, it's possible that they could activate viruses or release a virus, or that they could use some technology to screw with our heads. I don't know if they could turn this into a bunch of violent psychotics like they did in the movie The Kingsman, but they could probably use the 5G towers to emit a frequency that is frustrating and irritating to us, causing us pain and discomfort. I'm sure that could happen. Anyways, I want to share with you something from a January 6th victim, someone who's been abused by the system. And his name is Philip Anderson, right? And he had a mic drop moment, right? Microphone, just drop it. He's had his moment. He's decided that his Democrat family member or members, he's done with them. So as a January 6th patriot and a victim of government corruption and, folks, Democrat attacks, this guy takes a stand. And he knows he's got to fight at every level, because we're now in this place, in this room. Philip Anderson, folks, was one of the victims of massive police brutality on January 6th, back in 2021. He was outside the U.S. Capitol. He has now decided, folks, that He's got a family member who supports the Democrat Party, and he's done with them. Now, this family member reached out to him with a text and wrote this, quote, "You have always been and always will be one of the most important people in my life, a person I care about deeply. I miss you a lot and think about you every day." Well, Philip Anderson, folks, decided he didn't like that coming from a family member who is a Democrat. And this is what he wrote back. And I want everyone to kind of think about this, telling this to a family member who just claimed they love you and you're super important in their life. After the abuse Anderson has suffered and the shit he's put up with, nearly getting killed. So what he says to a family member in response: "You are a Democrat. Democrats have mutilated my face, banned me from every social media platform, stolen my money for my medical bills, manipulated search results against me, smeared me in the media, and then lied about reaching out to me for comment, put false information fact checks over every picture and video of my face on Facebook, and much more. And now they're trying to throw me in prison for close to 30 years just for saying words. So I have nothing left to say to you. I'm done with you tyrants. So I have nothing left to say to you people. I'm done with you tyrants." Right? Phil is a patriotic American. Phil is a Black American. Phil was at January 6th. And Phil is facing 30 years in prison. Phil has been attacked, right? Basically maimed. And nothing will protect us in this agenda war, folks. Phil realizes it. We all should realize it. People who are Democrats, whether they're family or not, they're not on your side. Have you come to that conclusion yet? Have you thought about that yet? Tell me what you think. What's your opinion? Super chat donation, get your thought on the screen here. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Right? In Congress, we have Republicans attacking Republicans for doing their job, holding the leadership accountable for not being a leader, for selling everyone out, for doing sneaky backroom deals with someone who is being impeached. That's our Congress. We have the police. This is what they do. They lie, cheat, and steal. They beat the hell out of this guy. And then, right, they attack him. They destroy him. Then they threaten to put him in jail for 30 years if they're going to find him guilty. All he did was speak words, right? Free speech. This is our country. They want you to turn yourself in for jail time that they've decided you've earned, you deserve, for free speech. People are going to jail for free speech, folks. They're not going to jail for owning a pistol or a rifle or a shotgun. Well, some people are. People are having their FFL licenses revoked. But it's not a big a deal, folks. They're going after free speech. They're making that their main attack, the First Amendment. I guess they thought they would really conquer the Second Amendment easily, but they realized they can't. That we're too adamant about it. So instead, they're going after our First Amendment and silencing political opposition and even trying to throw it in jail successfully. Look what they're doing with President Donald Trump. Right? He is again being attacked by Jack Smith, lying sack of shit prosecutor out of DC. He's going after Trump again. The Biden administration, their Department of Justice, their Attorney General's office, has thrown nearly 100 separate charges at President Trump and made none of them stick. But that's not stopping them. If you don't think that this isn't political persecution, then you're probably just not as informed as you need to be. Because this has never, ever happened to anyone in this country. No one has ever survived an attack like this from the government, because the government has never attacked anyone like this at the level President Trump is dealing with. Do you see what kind of trouble we're in? Matt Gaetz is doing a good job. Luna Paulina, or Paulina Luna, right? She's there. She's fighting the fight. Marge Taylor Greene is attempting to fight. Boebert is attempting to fight, but they're fucking up too. You can't kind of fight this. I'm sorry, if you're in Congress, you're in the battle for this country's life. You don't get to go to plays and play grab ass and fuck around with your boyfriend, Boebert. You don't get to do that. You don't get to snuggle up to Kevin McCarthy, Marge Taylor Greene. You don't get to snuggle up to him when it's politically expedient and then expect that people are going to follow you. Right? We need real people in Congress who are going to fight, and we need people in our states who are going to fight. Like down in Texas, Ken Paxton, Attorney General, is kicking some ass. He just survived an impeachment hearing, a trial, and he's now going to have to go after those who are criminal and corrupt. The fight is at every level, back down on our level, on the streets. And it's going to become personal in some areas when things go to Mad Max. And like Bonnie Blue was saying, protect the people around you, right? People that are important, family, friends, right? Because it's going to come down to that level, that 10-mile radius around us. You in the middle, 10-mile radius. That's going to be your life, your zone, where we're at. It's that important, folks. Let's do this. Let's step up. Let's do a super chat donation. See what's on your mind out there. What do we have now? It is H12. Heidi with a $2 super chat donation. Thank you for the shirt, Heidi. I think it's pretty funny. Pollo Loco. She said, don't make us come to the Capitol in January of 2025. I am not going to recommend that to anybody, folks. Now, let's just assume that Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. And he is. They have all but admitted that every candidate for the Republican Party is a blowhard, a rhino, weak, faulty, sellout, chicken shit. That's my opinion of them. Right? Governor DeSantis notwithstanding. And he doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. It's not your time, Ron. Go back to Florida, treat your people well. They're going to treat you well. As for this presidential contest, there we are. You got Trump. Now, on the Democrat side, they have taken a very viable Democrat candidate, someone who actually wanted some, well, not only law and order, but a little sanity brought into the party. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., son of the assassinated and fabled Robert Kennedy, brother of John F. Kennedy, both of whom were assassinated. He wants to be the Democrat nominee, and he got cheated out of there. So he's thinking of becoming an independent on the ticket. Now, the mainstream media doesn't like that. They thought it was kind of cute with Ross Perot. But then Ralph Nader stepped in and screwed up Al Gore's chances. So the mainstream media at that point said, hey, no more of this third-party stuff. Because whoever the third-party candidate is, they just peel away votes from the other candidate. I mean, they would not mind if RFK was a conservative. Say Elon Musk wanted to run and ran as an independent. He would take votes away from Trump. He would take far more votes away from Trump than, well, take him away from Biden. So Biden has his hands full. Not only was he the worst campaigner of all time in 2020, and it took a massive amount of absolute cheating and fraud and corruption for him to win, and everybody fucking knows it. This is not surprise, everyone. Only I know this. No, we all know it. We all know it. So RFK is going to peel votes away from Joe, which is going to make it even more impossible for Joe to win. So Trump will probably be the, nominee and then the winner of the election. Now, that doesn't mean you get to sit on your fucking hands and sit at home. You got to get out and do your job politically. We all have to fight, even though we know Washington, D.C. is a lost cause. You still have to fight. You still have to fight. And the only thing you have to do is vote and take on whatever challenges are presented to you to make that happen. Right? And DC takes care of DC. I won't tell anyone to go to DC, but let's assume that Trump loses. Is anyone going to go protest in DC? Oh, in January? No. Everyone knows what happens when you go protest a Joe Biden speech. Everybody knows. But what if Trump wins? What if Trump wins the election? The media, after crying rivers and rivers of tears, the media says, yes, Trump's going to be president again. Then do we go to Washington, D.C.? Let's do a little chin scratching on that one. What would that say? Would the FBI be in Washington, D.C., active and on the streets trying to create riots? Actually, they did back in 2016, folks. I'm sorry, 2017, January 2017. When Trump was being inaugurated, there was an insurrection that was going on. You bet there were a bunch of Democrats down there committing acts of violence and destruction in Washington, D.C. Didn't make mainstream media. It was not called an insurrection. But would the FBI and all of their cohorts, would they be in 2025, January? Would they be in Washington, D.C. to try and cause trouble, start fights, riots, commit an act of terror against the new Trump regime? Folks, we have some very interesting times in our lives, political, coming up. Are you prepared? Because it's coming. It is coming right now. It's coming at us full steam. Now, the Democrats, seeing that they have both RFK Jr. to get rid of and Trump to defeat, can they take a chance on their cheating to make it happen? Can they lie hard enough to win again with everyone looking? Maybe you won't maybe you won't be willing to go to Washington, D.C., but maybe you'll be willing to go to your state capital or locally work in the political system, counting votes, making sure there's no cheating. Maybe you'll feel that that's your patriotic duty. And I encourage you to follow whatever duty it is you feel is yours, to play your part in this. I think that's a good idea, but everyone has to determine for themselves what role they're going to take, when, where, and how. But if Trump wins, I expect terror, folks. I expect terror actually before the election. I also expect Joe Biden to have an accident. I do. I think he is such a weak candidate that he's going to have a health accident. He'll probably black out while walking down the staircase, right? Black out, trip on a tricycle, choke on a hot dog, fall down the stairs, and he'll be an unviable candidate. I believe that someone like Michael Obama is going to step up and try and carry the flag of the Democrat Party into the election. Now, is there a time limit for that? Can that happen on November 1st? Can that happen on October 15th? Can they just bring in a candidate at the last second and switcheroo? Well, anything's possible. But I think they'll need to get rid of Biden sometime in the spring. And they'll get some sympathy support. And they'll bring in someone who's a little more charismatic. They'll need to. Or they're going to have to rely 100% on cheating. And folks, sometimes cheaters lose. They cheat and cheat and cheat, and they still manage to lose. That's how that works. That's how that works. So, who's it going to be? Michelle Obama? Or New York's Governor Kathy Hochul? She looks like the Wicked Witch of the West. She is one hideous, ugly woman. How about Governor Gretchen Whitmer? And she looks like the Wicked Witch of the East. And she is a hideous person on the inside. And speaking of this, right? Speaking of this, the Democrat governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, I think she's thinking about being president. She said the border is, quote, too open. She is, folks, a hideous communist. She wants a limited number of migrants and either a doubling or quadrupling of Border Patrol agents. Well, how about 0% immigration until all the current illegals that are here are found and deported back to Mexico, back over the border, and they can apply for legal entry. That is, they can enter the country legally after doing the proper paperwork. How about if we do that? How about if we use what Border Patrol there is and close all the holes in the fence that the Border Patrol has opened up? Now, I still can't imagine someone being a part of the Border Patrol who's taken the oath to uphold the Constitution and do their job, and then turn around and obey someone's order to open holes in the fence and allow illegals to pour through into the country they live in with their families and their children. That's who these people are, folks. That's how dumb and dangerous they are. But yeah, Governor Hochul, she's now saying this sort of thing. The border's too open. We need to double or quadruple. Okay, promising jobs and promising to fix the problem. We need to limit the number of migrants. To what? To limit it from 250,000 a month down to 200,000? Why didn't she give us a number like 0%? We need to secure the border all the way and then figure out what the hell is going on. She can't say something like that, but she can sound centrist, like she's not as crazy as Biden. But that's the game they're playing, folks. They'll play these games where they act like they're the smart ones or they're the victims, right? Like this, right? Joe Biden wants to play like he's victim. Right? He's mad because Elon Musk bought Twitter. And he's saying that people now have, folks, this is what Biden is saying. People now have, quote, no notion of what information is true out there. He is a piece of shit lying sack of goat piss. That's what he is, folks. Biden thinks Twitter, aka X, is the only place for gathering information. And now that Elon Musk owns it, people have no notion of what is true and what isn't. Well, what about the rest of the world of media? ABC and NBC and Fox and CBS and CNN? What about National Public Radio? What about all of the newspapers? Aren't they a source of information that's true? Right? Biden thinks Twitter is the only place. Well, the reason that people don't tune into ABC all the way through to CNN is, well, they're not the most trusted name in news. No, CNN is not. They are all propaganda. They are all bullshit. And nobody wants to watch that or listen to that, or they would. But if they do, I mean, there are people that watch it, and they must really have a need to satisfy their appetite for bullshit. They need to be a bunch of misled troglodytes, so they watch that crap. So the only reason people, folks, the only reason people trust what is on Twitter X or any social media for that matter is they find the information they get there compelling, because the source actually makes sense, talks about facts and offers, right, and understanding. That's why you listen to opinions on Twitter or X or on, well, YouTube or any other social media. You listen to them because they actually make some sense to you. And I would dare to say this, that the more there is free speech, the more people are going to be able to find real reporting and commentary that is truthful. Because it's easier to be truthful about something and explain it than to report on it and then make up a bunch of lies and expect people to believe that shit. And ABC and NBC and Fox and CNN, they all say the exact same thing. And it's all unbelievable sewage and bilge. So Biden doesn't like Elon Musk, Twitter X, and he doesn't like anyone saying what they want to say. They don't like that, because what they say contains facts about Biden's crimes and his criminal family. What people say on Twitter brings to attention the scumbag globalists and Democrats and rhino Republicans, right? Mentions their crimes that are being committed and we have to pay for. They want to shut down free speech, folks. It's incredible. I didn't ever think anyone would have the audacity to attempt that. Yet here they are, attempting it. They're all attempting it. Crazy stuff. All right. Let us get reset again. Where are we at time-wise? Holy cow. We've been here 90 minutes, an hour and a half. We got another half hour to go. It is your show. If you have something to say, hit that super chat button. Get your contribution, get your comments, your thoughts right down here, and we'll talk about what you want. What you say matters, what you think matters. If I'm the only one talking, then what does this show become? Well, it doesn't make it less truthful, but it becomes, well, to someone who doesn't agree with me, propaganda. But when you participate and your questions are right here on the screen, when you guys are here, then people go, oh, it's not just John. It's not just Ooman. It's everybody, what everyone's thinking. And it gives it a lot more credibility because we're saying similar things. We have similar concerns. We have similar logic and thinking. And for all those people out there who are being lied to, propagandized, indoctrinated, if they see more than one person with a similar thought, they might go, wait a minute, do I have to believe all that shit that I've been told I have to believe on ABC and Fox and CNN? Or can I come over here and think independently? And that's what I want people to do, is think independently. I don't know why that's such a bad thing. Well, wow. Well, Mr. Skylight just sent me something, and he's letting us know that in New Zealand, they're talking about health again. They have a mass testing. So everyone needs to be tested for biotech, things that are in their body, regardless of whether or not they've taken their sheep vitamins. Got bad stuff happening around the world, folks. Crazy stuff, right? They're wanting to kill our food, right? Are you going to eat the food they give you, the bugs? Or are you going to do your own due diligence, find out what it is your food is, where to get it? Are you going to stock up? Are you going to be prepared for what's coming? What if they shut down, folks? What if we have an issue? What if something very bad happens to the entire country? They don't call martial law. We're not invaded by the Chinese or the Russians, but things get really bad. Where are you going to stand? Are you going to be prepared? Right? Crazy stuff going on. Thank you again, Mr. Skylight, for that as well. Now, the report is not just the report. The understanding of what's going on isn't just a United States thing. It is a world issue. The war that's going on in Ukraine, the war that's going on for control of our own countries. Something interesting just happened over in Slovakia. There's the Czech Republic, and then there's Slovakia. And for a while there, they were joined together in what was known as Czechoslovakia. Another one of those World War II things. Anyways, the Smer party, we have Democrats and Republicans. In other countries, they have 2, 3, 4, 5 different parties that try to get control. But in Slovakia, they have this Smer party. And that party, their leadership there, has won the elections. And Robert Fico has won the election in Slovakia. And he just happens to be, well, Russia friendly. He's going to be the next prime minister. And the way that works, folks, is the parliamentary party in charge picks their prime minister, kind of like the Speaker of the House in a way. Now, one of the issues with this is Slovakia is a NATO country. So we now have a NATO country with a leader who is more friendly with Russia than not. So I think we can now expect that Slovakia, this NATO country, is going to cut assistance to Ukraine and quit sending money to Ukraine and quit sending weapons to Ukraine. How many more countries are having these sorts of internal revolts with their voters? The people are tired of being hit with massive electricity prices, massive fuel prices, energy prices. They're tired of being hit with this, folks. They're tired of being told they have to pay for someone else's war in Ukraine. They're tired of seeing a corrupt government in Europe. We're seeing the same thing in this country, folks. All over the world, countries are at war within their own people. One side wants globalism, the other side wants freedom and liberty. They want nationalism. So are we going to hear more stories about this? Yes, we are. Are we going to see more conflicts where someone like Emmanuel Macron or Justin Trudeau or a Biden type character decide to sell their countries out to the globalists? Right? The world, just us regular people, we see all the money laundering, we see all the corruption, we see the Hunter Bidens of the world. We do. We hear all the lies and bullshit, and we're tired of it. Now, if we could control our countries with voting, well, we would already be controlling them, wouldn't we? But we've lost control, sadly, unfortunately. And that's why our elections are at risk. That is why the Democrats have sworn to lie, cheat, and steal to keep their power and authority. This is why I say we need to vote. We need to participate and send people to Washington, D.C. to fight. We need to be prepared in our own lives with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. But take heart in knowing that it's not just the United States that's a problem. And it's not just Europe. It's the entire planet is in this struggle right now against these bastards who want to do their great reset to bring in their new world order. And we don't know what they're going to do to try it. What next? We do know they want to bring back cerveza bug. We do know they want to make everyone take sheep vitamins. We do know they're testing the emergency broadcast system, that it's going to be a worldwide event. They want to bring this whole situation and create a global issue. Again, pandemic was the whole planet. They're going to want to make more planet-wide problems. Are you prepared? See, if you're not, you can be misled. If you're not, you can be negatively affected. So you have to do your best to insulate yourself, I think, by being fully prepared as you can be. And I'm seeing it in all sectors of the world, of business, of life, medicine, finance, everything. You need to be prepared. You need to be prepared to take up self-defense. I had a little discussion with a friend today who said, I can't fight. I said, you don't need to fight. You don't need to know how to fight. If you're faced with hand-to-hand combat, you're going to fight like you mean it, as well as you can, no matter what. Training, yes, good idea. Having self-defense tools, the best idea. Now, let's do this. Where are we at? We're at 25 minutes left. Let's do some super chat donations. I know I get long-winded, but thank you very much for supporting this channel with your donations to go, let's see, to pay the bills and put tuna fish and spam in the pantry, and also pay for that scotch. I tell you, when I watched I'm sorry, here we go. I have to digress just a teeny bit. Watching Kingsman, and at the end of the movie, the good guy's killed. Almost into the movie, good guy's killed. And so what does the new hero do? What does the would-be hero do? Well, he goes over to the liquor cabinet, pours himself a fucking scotch. And I thought that is truly an English movie. They don't get mad. They don't go over and start putting guns in their belt and knives and swords and shit the way Americans do in our movies. In the British movie, they do what the Brits do, and they go pour themselves a fucking scotch, a whiskey. take a drink, think about what they need to do, and then go take action. Nothing wrong with taking a whiskey break. All right. Bam. Let's do this. Let's do a super chat donation. And we got, holy cow, it's Miss Marilyn checking in with a $20 super sticker. And she now has a peacock for a profile picture. Fully approve of that. Very good. Peacocks, very beautiful things. Thank you for the great super sticker. Thank you for the support, Marilyn. I hope you're doing well. And I think I've gotten some messages, some emails from you and some others. It has been crazy busy. So I get the messages. If I don't always respond, it's because life is very busy. But I do get your messages out there, and thank you for the great support. Thank you, Miss Marilyn. Appreciate that. Jolene, who steps up next? We have, holy good golly, it's Carlos Granados, our good brother south of the border, down in Mexico. He's got 191 Mexican pesos and 10 cents. Thank you much, man. Our brother from down under the border, Carlos, says gas is $5.80 and more in California. That's California to those who don't know. He says, my condolences if Elmer Fudd is the candidate with Bugs Bunny pulling the strings. Good God, man, where are you coming up with this shit, Carlos? That's good stuff. Elmer Fudd, folks, is, by the way, Joe Biden. Let's go, Brandon. That guy. Easy, be very quiet. I'm, here we go. He says, Trump's being stalled are at any cost in his nomination for next year's election. Yeah, they're going to try stalling him. They're going to try silencing him. They're going to try jailing him. They're going to try convicting him. They're going to try disqualifying him. They're going to try kicking him off the ballot in several states. They're going to do everything they can to stop Trump. You know what that does to Americans? It pisses them off. I don't mind if some little guy wants to go in there and fight the other little guy or a big guy. But when someone else says, hey, look, before we send the little guy in to get kicked around, we're going to tie his hands behind his back, blindfold him, and then let the media, social media, big tech, the bureaucracy, the banking cartel, all go in there and absolutely fucking waylay and wallop Trump. Because that's what's going on, folks. He is going to be ganged up on. And what's amazing to me, and folks, I will criticize Trump on everything he's done wrong, and trust me, no one's perfect. We all fuck up. And he's no exception. But is he the best candidate? Is he the candidate America needs or the candidate America deserves? Anyways, Trump is out there. He's going to be stalled, as Carlos points out, at any cost. At every cost, they're going to stall him and try and destroy him. That pisses Americans off. It's not fair. It's not nice. Americans want to see a fair fight. You don't send someone into the boxing ring blindfolded and say, well, that's fair. It's not. So more people are going to support Trump for that very reason. The fact that Trump could go live at Mar-a-Lago or anywhere on the planet in peace. Well, not anymore. But for the most part, he could live well. Instead, he chooses to fight. And I think I brought this up with Uman and others last week at some point. I was like, you know what? Trump's ego. Yeah, he's a bit of an egomaniac, right? I don't think he's a megalomaniac like these fucking idiots in Washington, but I think he's an egomaniac, right? He's got a big old ego. But that ego has made him want to fight rather than just back away and be timid. As Chin Music talked about, he's a patriot, at least in the sense that he's willing to stand up and fight. At the very least, he's willing to stand up and fight. So I'll give him kudos for that. He's talking about freedom now and liberty. Well, he's got a lot of work to do. If he wins the election, he's got to go clean house for real. Because instantly, yes, Trump being stalled for the election is one thing, Carlos, but if he wins, he's going to be attacked. He's going to be attacked. He's going to be attacked by the media, by big tech, by the military. Oh, yeah, folks, there's a lot of people in the military that don't like him. There are a lot of communists who have snuck through West Point and Annapolis, and they've gotten into the military and they're running it. Is he going to be able to clean them out? Doubtful. Communists are chicken shits, and they're going to hide under the rocks. There's slimy rocks they'll climb back under and wait for another opportunity to attack. Trump's got his work cut out. Is he going to just claim he's going to drain the swamp? Or is he going to actually get in there and fire every fucking buddy in every agency and get rid of agencies that we don't need, that are redundant, or that are just so corrupt that they can't be fixed? You know, like the FBI. How about the CIA? How about the CIA? Are we going to have them serve America, or are they going to serve themselves and their globalist masters? That's a bad, bad company to be fucking with. Right? The CIA has been bad company since World War II, folks, when it was the OSS. Enough on that history, though. Carlos, thank you for the great support. Gas being $5.80. Hang on to your hats. It's just going to get higher. I think someone like Uman we can trust is going to keep a very close eye on the fuel prices as they go up and up. And I tell you, I really thought that we would hit that $10 mark. I thought that they would do that, but I guess maybe old Joe Biden figured if they went too far too fast, that there would be a rebellion against him and the Democrats. Well, they've been hurt pretty bad. They earned it. They earned it. They sure did. Crazy stuff. Now, we're down to, what are we down to? The last 15 minutes of the show, Sunday Night Live. I'll stay here, folks. El Pollo Loco, I'll stay here as long as you guys want to talk. As long as you've got comments and questions and thoughts through the super chats. If you're done, if you've had enough, if you're full, if you think you've got everything all figured out, I just wonder. I just wonder. Let me tell you about Trump again. Is he the perfect candidate? Is he the most Republican? Is he the most patriotic along the lines of the founding fathers? Well, he probably is the most, because I don't hear any other candidates saying anything. But he did say this. Now, the other day they had some issues in, I believe, Philadelphia. Right? The policeman shot a criminal, killed him. So they decided they were going to start looting. Donald Trump had an opinion regarding that. He said, hey, shoot the looters. Works like a charm. Actually, it did, folks. It used to be if someone's looting, you could shoot them. That stops a crowd from taking advantage of a situation and screwing other people over. Because that's exactly what it does, folks. It's stealing from people because there is a group out there, right? A group. So, yeah, President Trump said that. And then, folks, he decided he was going to make fun of Joe Biden. So he imitated Joe Biden on stage by pretending to get lost on stage, walk into the flags. Just absolute hilarity. When that's your political opponent, someone who can't find his way off stage, somebody who gets lost in his words. He's got a teleprompter right in front of him to read off of. Folks, I don't have a teleprompter. I don't have a script. I can sit here for 2 hours or more and just bullshit with you guys rap. I could bring Uman up on screen right now and we could just bullshit forever and really dig into what's left of this bottle of scotch. Right? We could do that. These political candidates out here are so weak and unintelligent they can't do that. And Biden can't even find his way back off the stage without getting lost or tripping on a banana peel. And Trump is making fun of him. Isn't that fascinating that that's the political debate that we have is, can we elect a guy who can actually get on and off the stage? Can we elect a guy to run the country who is actually in charge of making intelligent decisions, or do we need to elect and allow a puppet, an absolute political puppet, to run everything? Very interesting stuff, folks. And by the way, while we're talking about war, while we're talking about the New World Order, while we're talking about well, what's going on in Europe. I didn't want to leave out Africa, the nation of Niger. It's essentially a powder keg with a fuse, and the fuse is lit. The question is, how fast is it going to burn? The Burkina Faso, which is the military that took control of Niger, they stopped. They tripped up. They defeated another coup d'etat. That's right, the CIA / France, Europe, they decided they were going to try another coup d'etat and overthrow the overthrown government, right? And the people, folks of Niger, they love this guy, Captain Traore, or whatever the hell his name is. So they went to the streets and had a celebration in the fact that the CIA failed yet again. France hasn't fooled them. I think the centuries of lies, folks, coming out of Europe, the hypocritical opinions and behavior coming out of Europe have taught hard lessons to the people of third world countries that are just now discovering that they have resources, and that means they're valuable, and valuable resources means wealth, and that the countries that it comes out of should benefit first and foremost from these natural resources, whether it's Africa or South America and other places around the world. They've been taught some hard lessons. And by the way, where are all the liberals? Where's all the liberal do-gooders to come to the rescue of black nations that are being exploited? Where are they? Aren't they supposed to be out there, all of these social justice people? Why aren't they sticking up for Niger? All these left-wing do-gooders. Where are they? Well, they really don't give a shit, folks. They really don't give a shit. They don't. Right? Until it, they just don't. They don't care. Until it affects them directly, right? They're not going to help. Well, like New Yorkers actually flying down to the border to hand out pamphlets and tell people that are trying to immigrate here and come to New York that they're not welcome and they should go somewhere else. It's almost like their system is falling apart in Europe and in Washington and in wherever the Canada capital is, wherever the fuck that's at. They're falling apart. They're failing. They're failing, but they're not giving up. Now, what's interesting is what's going to actually happen in Washington with this is, I'm going to take it right back home and we'll close the show out with this little discussion. Unless you guys have something else you want to talk about, super chat button right up there. Now, McCarthy's pissed off at Getz. Getz is pissed off at McCarthy because he's a lying shitheel. And he's a double-crossing, backstabbing bastard. So McCarthy says he doesn't want to be part of the Republican team anymore. Well, this comes after, of course, passing his continuing resolution to screw over America and send money over to Ukraine. McCarthy, folks, in my opinion, is a sellout, a chicken shit, a lying sack of monkey crap. And here's why. Right? He said this after doing this sellout program, sending more money to Ukraine and not spending our American money on American veterans, on American homeless, and on American border security at the U.S.-Mexican border. He said this, and he's basically speaking about Getz and others. He says, so if you have members in your conference that won't let you vote for appropriation bills, doesn't want an omnibus bill, and won't vote for a stopgap measure, which means throwing more money at a problem without questioning it. He says, so the only answer is to shut down and not pay our troops. I don't want to be a part of that team, he said. So he doesn't want to be part of Team America because, well, he doesn't like their solution, which is to shut everything down. And then he throws this and not pay our troops in there. McCarthy is playing you, folks, as if you are retarded by putting this. And if you don't want to do these things that I like and shut down the government and not pay our troops, haven't we learned in the media lately that our troops can't get uniforms, that our troops are living in barracks that are filthy, disgusting crap. But he's going to play that card, folks. And Republicans don't have to be the ones that give in. But McCarthy is willing to give in, folks. Republicans aren't the bad guys. And the polls are now showing that Americans are blaming Biden, and they are blaming the Democrats for this oh so dangerous shutdown. But seeing that this is happening, McCarthy is willing to give in. McCarthy, folks, wants to pretend like what he did, his selling out of you and me, the taxpayers, to send money and weapons over to Ukraine. He's pretending like what he did was done so they can pay the troops. Like he could never screw over the troops, folks. McCarthy did nothing for the troops or the veterans out there who are being denied health care at VA hospitals. He's done nothing at our border, McCarthy has. But McCarthy's willing to give your money. He's willing to give in to the Bidens for other nations' needs. We got to protect the Ukraine border. We got to protect Ukraine. We got to, right? McCarthy is a liar, folks. He's a shitheel. He's a light in the loafers, fruitcake selling shit sandwiches and saying it's our patriotic duty to eat his crap. Biden right now is weak. He's indefensible. He's absolutely compromised. He's been shown to be subject to bribery and extortion. He's been shown to sell out. All the information is out there in front of Congress. He is going to be impeached, and he ought to, by the evidence I have seen, and we have all seen, he ought to be tried in the Senate. And the evidence is overwhelming, and he should be convicted in the Senate, and then sentenced. And it should be more than just removal from office. He is weak, indefensible, compromised, and he's going to be impeached. And we need to support our congressmen and tell them, impeach the bastard and send it to the Senate. But McCarthy, folks, through all of this, has drug his feet on impeachment, has done backroom dirty deals with Biden and supported everything Biden wants. And he sides with Biden, McCarthy does, and says he doesn't want to be part of the team that forces the U.S. government to stop giving our money away, right, to short tyrants in Ukraine. He doesn't want what we want as Americans. They need to get rid of McCarthy. They need to get him out of leadership. We need to support them, folks. At this time, at this place, this moment in history, the fight is not on our streets with guns. The fight is not against our neighbors. It is not against BLM and Antifa, hand-to-hand combat at a protest. Right now, our fight, where we're at today, where we're needed, is to support Congress in fighting and getting Biden impeached and McCarthy thrown out of office. Next year, we have a huge election in this country. That is our fight. That is our fight. Making sure Trump knows we want our rights respected. That's what he needs to know, what we want. I'm not going to let Trump tell me what I want. I'm going to tell Trump what I think is best for me. And that's my freedoms and my liberty, my First Amendment, my Second Amendment, my Fourth and Fifth Amendments, all of my amendments, and that the government must obey the Constitution and agree that it serves us and that it is restricted. I really hope you feel the same way. This is our country, damn it. We need to fight for it. We need to not be timid. We need to be patriots. Thank you, Chin Music. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bonnie Blue. Thank you, Darcy T. Thank you, Carlos Granados. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, everyone, for your direct support and for bringing great topics right here on the screen so the rest of the country, the rest of the world sees. It's not just some guy in front of his green screen somewhere in the south of the United States of America or across the border, right? No, I'm not just one guy. I'm not just shooting my lips off. We've had thousands of people here stop in for this broadcast. We're just one of hundreds of people who are speaking their minds. And you, my friends, are helping contribute to the quality of the message the value of it and validating the message that I'm not the only one. You're not the only one. It's all of us that want freedom and liberty. If we don't stand up and fight now, we may as well not fight at all. And if you don't get prepared, you may as well not take the fight seriously and think that it can be won with a few words, or it can be lost with no consequence. Folks, when the good people of Germany lost to the Nazi party who took control, there was a consequence. And I, for one, am not going to allow my country to become the next Nazi Germany, or the next Soviet Union, or the next Chinese communist country. I'm going to fight for my country. And it's a fight that we have to win because there's nowhere else left to run. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Thank you, Jolene. You're great. Thank you, Mr. Uman, behind the scenes doing all the work you do. And thank you to everybody who makes contributions and supports this channel silently, but wanting the message to continue. I thank you all. You know exactly who you are. Chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours. Godspeed.